Good morning. How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday, 10:17 a.m. That's California time here. May 13th, 2025 is the date. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe. Looks like there's a three-pointer hiding out here somewhere in the green flag down across New Zealand. One of the latest quakes there on the map. Also some deep earthquake activity once again across the Izu Trench. Look at that super deep earthquake there raised off the globe. We'll get to that here in just a minute. I want to cover space weather activity first, where a significant solar flare popped this morning off of a sunspot that is way out there on the western limb. Look at this reading here. Fairly decent. Peaked up at an X 1.2 level. Last one of this size, or at least our last X flare, happened back in early March, or maybe even the end of February this year. So, kind of unexpected. It looks like maybe one of the sunspots there across the extreme western limb decided to get complex overnight. As far as magnetically speaking, you got to have a magnetically complex sunspot to produce these stronger flares, and looks like that happened. So the sunspot in question that produced that X flare is going to be. Let's take a look at the video here real quick. I'm sure it's quite nice. Go to 48-hour movie real quick, and we'll take a look here real quick here. Here's 4079. Here's the sunspot that the X flare popped off of. Keep your eye on this area. It'll be a nice one. X flares obviously show a decent image here. Watch this here. Boom. And that was it. Just a really quick X flare. I'm going to tone it down here just a little bit. There it was. Beautiful image of the X flare. Not anything Earth directed, though, unfortunately. All right. So again, that came off of sunspot number, not 4079. 4079 is the one that's way back out there across the western limb now. This is going to be 4086. Here's the latest magnetogram image here. Barely see it, but it looks like there's enough complexity in there that sparked up that X flare this morning. Just a short time ago, about an hour and a half or so ago, Tuesday morning. That is out of sight, out of mind, and anything that did blast off there, far as CME activity, coronal mass ejections there, directed away from Earth. What is Earth directed? Looks like we're starting to get some proton events here. These large flares can produce massive protons, and at the speed of light, they travel here and hit Earth, bombard the planet here with the protons. It looks like that's being affected there across the northern region here of the Earth. So that could continue for a little while. And one thing I've seen here, when we compare space weather activity in relationship to elevated earthquake activity, is that the proton events have a higher possibility of triggering earthquakes compared to CMEs or in general, solar flares themselves. It's the result of the protons hammering the planet that seem to trigger earthquake activity out here. Not all the time, but it seems the likelihood of an earthquake, a large earthquake occurring, or an uptick in earthquake activity is following a proton event. So watch that here for today. See if things don't kick up. Because when we compare historical data, with large proton events in the past, it seems as though earthquake activity happens rather quickly following the arrival of protons. Let's see here. So the Earth-facing side, far as that region out there across the western limb, is fairly absent of anything of noteworthy value. We do have a region over here across the northeastern limb of the sun. Not looking all that promising there, to be honest. It's just got a simplified magnetic structure there, and all these other sunspots are just not doing much. I don't expect them to do much either. Right now, and that's hard to say what happened between last night. Here's last night's image of 4086. Not a whole lot of center core here. If you look at this region right here, it looks like there's a newer development here that's rapidly growing. So overnight, this thing ramped up and produced that X flare that we've seen this morning. So that still may blast off some flares, but again, it's directed away from Earth. No major roars in the forecast. Had that even been a massive CME associated with the X flare, it's not going to be Earth directed. It looks like there was some type of plasma event here as well, maybe a filament eruption. Unfortunately, that was not Earth directed. And I say that because there's a lot of folks here that love to watch the auroras and whatnot. All right, let's get to earthquake activity here. There's that super deep earthquake there across the Izu Trench. And bring this up here to the oceanic crust view so we can see the subduction zones here around the region. 5.5, 282 miles deep here. This is the subduction zone of the Izu Trench. That well underneath this area. This would be the second deep earthquake here in the region. Let me see if the USGS showed the other one here. Yeah, this one is 257 miles deep there for that 4-pointer. That popped off there 2 days ago. A lot of deeper activity here. The resulting effects is going to be a larger earthquake here across the Nankai Trough, which I've been talking about quite a bit, or could be a little bit of strain upstream here. Could be looking at some larger activity across this region, the locked area, so to speak, where the subduction zone, the Pacific plate begins to subduct here underneath the Filipino plate. So, two areas to watch here closely. This deeper activity definitely adding strain here across a couple different regions. It looks like Japan area, another earthquake here across the Japan Trench. That was early this morning as well. USGS not showing this newer earthquake here. These two earthquakes are from yesterday. There's at least, well, it looks like another 4-pointer in here. It's kind of a surface quake there across Japan. There's that 3-pointer down across New Zealand. Some deeper activity down there. Nothing major happening there for now. The Aleutian Trench, a little bit of activity there from yesterday. Some older movement. Let's go ahead and down out here in the southeastern Pacific here. Another 5-pointer. It's been quite active out here recently. Let's take a look here at this region in the last 7 days, up and down the board, all around the Nazca Plate. It's going to be this area right here that's responsible of the subduction zone of the Paruchili Trench. There's the Nazca Plate that I just explained. A lot of earthquake activity out there around the plate boundaries, not only the Pacific Plate, but also down here across the Antarctica area. That, tends to get everything moving out here against the Paruchili Trench. It could affect areas upstream here as well around the Caribbean Plate, but also may further stress the Pacific Plate out here. It's a divergent boundary zone. Arrows are pointing away from each other, so that means that this earthquake activity here is, it's kind of getting the plates moving out here. And the strain out here, for the most part, should transfer here across the Paruchili Trench, resulting Nazca Plate here subducting underneath the South America region. Been quite active down there. Today, another, like I said, 5.1. Let's check out California. Well, let's check out the states here first. Any new activity across the east? It's been quite active out here. As far as earthquake activity, well above normal here for the eastern portion of the country. I should say east of the Rockies. Excluding the oil fields, right? Oil fields out here are almost always getting hit with earthquake activity, Oklahoma as well. What has been amplified is regions of some various older fault systems out here. Ohio, down across eastern Tennessee, where that 4-pointer struck here a couple days ago. New Madrid seismic zone's been pretty active as well. I still think we need to watch that closely. Nothing going on there today. In fact, if you look at the last 24 hours here, the only area getting earthquake activity is down here across the oil fields. But even then, that's kind of died off. So we got to watch this here near term. If this starts to kick up in the oil fields, as far as more earthquake activity, I think the likelihood of seeing further earthquakes out here is increasing across this area where it's been active. So quiet right now somewhat across this area of the country, but don't let your guard down. There's that 3.3 in Illinois from last night. Felt fairly broadly across the area. Not a big one, but quite a few folks reported feeling that earthquake coming in there last night. Let's see what else we got. Check out California, West Coast here, Pacific Northwest. 2.8 around Hoodsport, Washington. This one's 24 miles deep, so that is associated not with any fracture boundaries at the surface, but the Cascadia subduction zone. And the subduction zone up there, if you check out the tremor activity, I'll show you guys here real quick. This is from yesterday. 436 epicenters of tremor, not volcanic tremor, but tremor. It's slow slip happening between the two plates out here, the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca plate, as it subducts underneath this area of the North American plate. So you get these very sensitive, well, you have to have sensitive equipment to pick it up, but it's low frequency vibration between the two plates as they slide past each other or dip further underneath this area. And that obviously will give off a tremor, but also add further strain up here across the subduction zone. So this was around Seattle yesterday. That is a little bit deeper than this earthquake right here. So we're seeing the tremor occur right about here underneath this area, resulting in earthquake at least measurable earthquake activity up here as you go further upstream from the tremor. So it's adding further pressurization here across the locked area and also areas just above the tremor zone. So I did have a layout here, a cutout layout where you could see, an example. Instead of trying to picture it in your mind, it's kind of hard to explain sometimes. But tremor activity obviously leading to almost immediate earthquake activity upstream across this area, similar to what was happening out here a few months back when we had earthquake activity up here across the Vancouver area. And a lot of tremor was happening around this area as well a few months back. So watch that. Tremor activity has been amplified out here in the last week. Northern California has been the source of most of it. As you can see, this is from yesterday. No, well, we do have one earthquake here from last night or early this morning, 10 miles deep, up from the tremor activity and closer to the locked area of the Cascadia subduction zone, the southern end. So that is getting some interesting activity down here. See what I mean, though? There's a tremor upstream here. This is about 45 kilometers deep underneath this area. And if you look at the earthquake activity that's happening, it's I just wanted to check out the kilometers. So that's going to be 16 kilometers here, 45 kilometers underneath this zone, and miles, 10 miles deep for this earthquake. Almost immediate earthquake activity. Well, this is from this morning, but still it shows that the strain is building upstream from that tremor. Excuse me. Last week of data. Let's check out the tremor counts here. 2,223 epicenters of tremor. Got to watch that closely here. It's building up, gaining some momentum here, and that's obviously not releasing strain. It's adding further strain and tension here, kind of like a spring. As it, the Juan de Fuca plate here being shoved underneath this area. Tremor activity is being picked up, but no resulting large earthquake activity to relieve that strain. A 2.8 is not going to relieve it, that's for sure. Going to take a megaquake to release that strain that's been building up since 1700. All right, San Francisco area, nothing new to report here from last night, just a couple of smaller earthquakes there through the day and early evening yesterday, but nothing new to report. Creeping segment roughly about the same. Southern California looks pretty quiet out here right now. Nothing above 2.5, at least from today. All these are super small microquakes. One earthquake off the coast here of Oceanside, a little 2.2, just after midnight. But things could ramp up here, folks. It goes through little stages of quietness and uptick, and kind of watch that. Definitely got my eye on the Pacific Northwest up here with all that tremor and resulting earthquake activity happening just upstream from that tremor. Yellowstone National Park, a couple smaller earthquakes there around Hebgen Lake, so we better go see what's going on there across Yellowstone, see if they got any swarming going on, which they don't. right now. This blue line, these thick blue lines here are from yesterday, the thunderstorms up there. A lot of severe storms that were happening. So you can imagine the wind, the rain, the hail, thunder rolling through the ground, the frequency, right? Kind of kicks off the seismograph stations there. That's not magma movement. That is some thunderstorm activity out there. Pretty neat to see on those stations that are exposed to the elements. One earthquake from last night. Looks like around 7, 8 o'clock or so. Let's see if they reported that. 7 or 8 o'clock. Maybe it's this 1.9 here from yesterday. That would make sense. But since then, a couple smaller earthquakes from after midnight, further around the Hebgen Lake area. But no swarms, no major unusual activity happening there for now. Kilaway Volcano, of course, that came to an end here as far as the eruption goes. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Very short-lived eruption, but spectacular fountaining going on there. I think 500-600 feet high. And, well, we're just looks like we're going back up here again in terms of inflation. There's the eruption, peak of the inflation. You can see it on the 2-day chart here, or weekly chart. 2-day chart's back over here. So this is the leading up to the eruption. Here's the short-lived eruption. Now, with a pause going on, we're starting to go back up. Although it's hard to say, maybe a little bit slower than the ones before, but occasionally, if you look at the past events here, 20 or 21 episodes of events since December of last year, it sometimes does that. But I don't see any change. This could go on. This literally could go on for months, if not years, as far as this rinse and repeat cycle of Kilaway Volcano, depending on if things get blocked down there. Develop a blockage, and then from there a migration may happen somewhere else. But if there's ever a time you want to see Kilauea Volcano erupt and be there before it does erupt, I wish I had the time and the extra money to go out there, but that's pretty expensive to go out there and catch a flight. But that would be spectacular to see. But if there's ever a time, watch these charts out here, with the inflation, and you can almost nail down the date very close, within a day or so of catching that eruption before it even happens, just by looking at these rinse and repeat episodes of cycles there. All right, what else do we have here? Let's go ahead and jump to the world view. 2.8 across the Perucciale Trench. We'll keep an eye on that because it's been active here even prior to this movement. A lot of pressurization happening from that 7-pointer it struck here a week or so ago, adding further strain across the South America area. This activity here, the 5-pointer, should amplify even further strain across the Perucciale Trench. We'll watch that throughout the day today. Up in Iceland, a little swarming going on here. Also, well, it looks like it's north of Iceland. Some south as well. It's been a little while since I've checked the Iceland activity, so I guess we could go do that real quick and see what we got going on up there. Again, most of the movement's up north across the rift boundary. A little bit happening down south here across the Svartsengi area. Not a whole lot, though, around the Grindavik area, the Blue Lagoon, where our last few eruptions have taken place. That could amplify, though, following the activity south and north here in the last 24 hours. We'll watch that and see what happens. But pretty decent swarm up north here. Let's see if we got any news there from the Iceland site. This is put out. Well, this is from actually 6-7 days ago, so nothing new to report there. From the Icelandic Met Office. Far as any close approach asteroids out here go, let's take a look here real quick, see what we got. Ooh, that's a big one coming in today. But that's from 2011. Discovered in 2011, 280-foot building-size asteroid. Woo, that's a big one. But that's almost 3 million miles away, so that's a good distance there. Also another big one here, about 4 million miles away. This one newly discovered, though. That's interesting there. Let's see. Nothing of any close proximity, folks. I think we still got to pay our bills here, so might as well. I wouldn't count on an asteroid hitting us. That it could happen. But these big ones here, I think we would know about it. They would definitely be making some world news. Storm Prediction Center, severe weather. Wow, I picked up over half an inch of rain here in Northern California. It may not seem like a lot, but for May, middle of May, that is actually quite rare for us. Literally had a thunderstorm downpour over my area for about half an hour or so yesterday, and a little bit of hail in there as well, just to the southwest here of Chico. It's pretty neat. I enjoy it. It's going to keep everything green. We might even stay green till the middle of June. And that is, like I say, we don't have greenery out here in the spring. Maybe in the spring, but not in the summertime out here like a lot of the country. All right, tornado activity a little bit out there. 2% zones, wind, and some hail. Nothing major going on the severe weather risk page today. Tomorrow, a little bit more of an enhanced zone across the northern plains. Tornado, wind, and a little bit of hail threats out there as well. So watch for that severe weather potential. Let's check out the seismograph stations here. Nothing showing up for now. Everything looks pretty quiet. We'll keep an eye on things here as we're getting bombarded with a little bit of proton events. It could fluctuate here. Let me see what we got. It could kick up a little bit more. Right now it's not super active, but there is some type of protons there hitting the planet that may amplify here from that X flare that happened earlier. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good day. We'll see you guys back out here for the Tuesday night update. Don't forget, we got the member drawing coming up here in 2 days, May 15th. Something we have been doing it for like 3 years now. I think it's been 3 years. Where we give away prizes to the members. Aside from monthly drawings, there's also extra videos, extra perks, and emojis and all that good stuff. Need to add some new ones on. I know it's definitely time consuming here, adding some new stuff on here. But the member drawing is definitely coming up here in 2 days. We give away cash prizes, and if you want cash prizes, or you can have Earthmaster merchandise, or if you want a geology mining kit, that's pretty neat. Had a few folks jump on that. Pretty neat little deal if you like, if you're a rock hound like me, or just like, chiseling around in the mountains somewhere, finding some cool stuff. That's an option as well. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday and stay safe out there.